welcome to the NQAT Daily with Isabel from Talk About United. And I'm Ed. How's it going, Isabel?
Very good. Back home now. How are you?
Very good. Looking forward to the Christmas break. Although when it comes to the football, hell of a lot of football.
There's not a break.
Zero break.
No.
We've just come off the high of beating Manchester City at the weekend, and we have a EFL Cup, League Cup game against Tottenham in London to look forward to.
Yeah. It's no, I mean this one I'm torn between this one because I watched Spurs against Southampton. I mean, they were pretty good. Spurs as well. We've not won against Spurs for a while. It's been a couple of years, and I think it is going to be a bit of a difficult one. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see which way Amorim goes, because obviously we've had the news of no Rashford being in the squad. It's I don't know who he's going to start. I've got an inkling, but I don't know. What do you think?
Well, typically he's been making a lot of changes. I assume he will. He's taking a data-driven approach to fitness and overload, apparently, which is well needed given their very long history of injuries at Manchester United over the last year and a bit under Ten Hag. That was partly to do with Ten Hag's training regime and how they played the games, but they're being very, very careful. Rashford news will dominate the pre-match thinking. The match too, I guess. I mean, Amorim said in his pre-match press conference he's not shutting the door, basically. So it kind of feels like he's shutting the door, given that he's left him out for a second consecutive game. But we'll see on that one. Time is going to tell. It's very difficult to solve this situation in January, given the money and the finances involved for everybody. Yeah. As for this game, Spurs, there's just such a conundrum, aren't they? I can't work them out. They are the highest pressing team in the league by some distance on any metric, whether it's initial contact, passes per defensive action, the sustained nature of the press, so how long it takes, or another way of thinking, and their high line, or another way of thinking about that, at what point is the trigger for them to retreat? Very, very late in Spurs' case, which is why they concede goals that look kind of ridiculous, where they're really pushed up high. But it also creates a lot of chances. So against Southampton, who play out suicidally from the back because they don't have the players to be able to do it, and it costs Russell Martin his job, Spurs took advantage of that. I mean, they scored, how many do they score from nicking the ball off Southampton in the defensive third? At least one. It may have been two, actually. Yeah, thinking about it. So that made them look really good, but I don't know if that's legitimately actually what Spurs are about. And United, I was kind of interested against City because City have this high press too, not as sustained this time as Spurs, but United were quite successful in playing through the lines, especially with Martinez, who played a lot of those line-breaking passes, and then there's always the outballer giving it to Onana, who can chip it over the press into midfield. So I'm not so worried about that, actually. I was under Ten Hag. It terrified me. But I think United are moving to a phase now of a high possession team rather than this counter-attacking transitional team. And so I'm a little more comfortable. Maybe I'll feel like an idiot on Thursday, but I'm not that worried. You?
No, I think going into a cup match, it's never the same as a league match. It's always different because generally, managers will rotate their players a little bit. So we might not see the players that we think we'll see in Spurs. I think, Spurs will probably go quite strong. And I hope we do too. But yeah, no, you mentioned about like Martinez was putting so many balls down the channel, and do you know what? It worked out. So it was really nice to see. And I think sometimes it can be wasteful, but I think it did work out, and it was just more positive play. I definitely think we saw a tactical decisions being made by Amorim, and that's exactly what we want to see. So I think if we can carry that on into Spurs, and then obviously I think we've got Bournemouth on the weekend, if we can just carry on these decisions that these tactical decisions that are being made, I think that's really good and it's positive. And yeah, I mean, Spurs, I think it will be a tough match. Spurs will go for it. I hope we do too. I mean, defense as well, because obviously we're playing a back three. There's going to have to be a lot of rotation. We're going to need our defenders to be strong, and it's I mean, I would probably start Martinez. I'd stick with Maguire. I think Maguire had a good game, and I'd possibly throw in Euro, give De Ligt a rest, possibly give Mazraoui a rest as well.
Looks like he's not fit anyway, Mazraoui. So, well, Amrin mentioned it, said it was touch and go on Mazraoui. I'm paraphrasing clearly, but I don't think they'll take a risk with him. I wouldn't be surprised to see Euro start. He needs to game. And Maguire, Amrin was really positive. I mean, he's brilliant. Maguire had his best game for God knows how long against City. I thought it was excellent.
Yeah.
And he really does look like a completely different player in the back three. The same for England as well. All his best performances. But he's got a bit more protection, especially in that centre back, where he's not actually the player who's has to play those line-breaking passes. It tends to go to the wide place. He's a very good passer, it just takes too long.
Yeah.
And so I think this showcases all the best of Harry Maguire and limits the risks with him. So United have an option to extend his contract for another year. I'm sure they'll do that and not going to lose him for free. They may even extend it by another year after that. It has breathed a new lease of life into Harry Maguire, I think, and I'm very happy with him. So I think he'll play again. He's not had that many games recently. Amrin's rotating. The wing-backs is a kind of interesting one. If Mazraoui's not fit, obviously they'll play a more attacking one there. Is it Diallo? We don't have too many options, really. So I get Anthony. You know what? Say it quietly again. He's done all right in the last couple of games, hasn't he? Maybe that suits him, that role. Midfield, I imagine they'll change it up. They'll manage Kobe Mainoo's loads. Maybe Casemiro comes in. Uwate's looking increasingly at the best game for United again against City. Love his little ratter in midfield. Love his energy and his aggression and all of that. Eriksen's not had that many games. What do we do with Bruno? He's had a lot of times, but he's a lot of time on the pitch, but he never has a rest, never seems to need one either. So it feels like we've got options, even though, who is it? It's Mount's injured, definitely. Mazraoui probably. Shaw's definitely out. Rashford not in the squad. Any other significant changes we're expecting? Probably not a lot of room for any kids on the bench, given it's a pretty full squad.
No, I mean, obviously Garnacho is back in the squad, so likely that he will start, I think. And then you could play Eriksen. I just feel like Eriksen would get walked over, though. I don't know. I do think Bruno should do with the rest, but I feel like he's just not going to drop him. I just can't see it happening. Maybe he will. I don't know, because you can't predict these Amorim lineups at the minute. But I feel
he doesn't want to rest either, Bruno, does he? He just wants to play all the time.
Yeah, no, and I don't mind that. If he performed, I will say though, against City, I don't think Bruno was great. I think he just gives the ball away too much. That's the only thing. I always look at Bruno and think you've got to stop giving the ball away. Someone said it. I don't know. I was watching something. It was like you're just not going to win anything with Bruno in your team. And I do like Bruno. I do, but I think sometimes he is one of them annoying players where he just gives the ball away too much, or he's always trying to do too much. And I do like Bruno, but yeah, I mean, look, I can't see Bruno getting dropped. I think he'll play in this match. And I mean, we'll see. I think Højlund will start, I think, as well, over Xerxes.
He kind of, it's interesting on load again there, but he's the main man now, I think. We're moving to a fate. Well, he's just a better stylistic fit for Amorim's team. On Bruno, can't help but think about what you said there. I do not see any evidence or reason to think that you can't win anything with Bruno, right? So he's a risk taker, but he creates over 200 chances a season. That's what he did last season. It's well over 200. So you can ask him to take fewer risks and he'll create fewer chances, is my view on it. If Amorim at some point goes, hey, we're a possession dominant side, therefore I want to take fewer risks, fine. But Kevin De Bruyne also has a 75% pass completion rate. I don't think anyone's complaining about Kevin De Bruyne giving the ball away. Anyway, we'll see whether he plays or not.
Yeah.
Given how much football there is to come. And Xerxes, I just don't see him as a number 9. I'd like him to play more often in one of those 10 positions if he's going to do that. There's an extra space. Mount's not fit. Maybe it's there. everyone seems to think he's a 9, but he doesn't make the movement of a striker at all.
No.
So I'm sure there's more to come from him. I'm not sort of, he's rubbish and he'll never make it at United. I just think it's like, where's he going to fit, and what can he give to the team that's most beneficial for him and the team personally? And playing as far forward as an Amorim forward does and running into the channel's not his thing.
No. We have seen, Xerxes doing some nice link-up play as well with, I think it was Ahmad. So there is definitely, try him out in the number 10 position. I think he's good at holding the ball. And, we saw it at the end of the City match. We were shouting at the TV, just hold the ball, and he did. And do you know what? Yeah, I think he's a strong player. So definitely up front somewhere. But that striker position is just not, we've not seen it yet. That's all it is. He's got it in him. I don't know. We've got to see more of him. That's all it is. But yeah.
It's important competition, a chance to win a trophy. It's European qualification, albeit for the Conference League or some nonsense like that. I think I can't even remember. There has to be a winner. No replays. I'm not even sure there's extra time. I think you might go to penalties straight on 90 minutes. I forget the rules. They keep changing.
Yeah, they do change
around. Yeah,
I'm not sure.
In one sense, if United go out, well, it eases the pressure a little bit, because there would be a 2-leg semi-final in the January timeframe, which is a nightmare. If you look at, especially if by some nightmare, United don't beat Rangers and then Steaua Bucharest in January and end up in a playoff, we would have, I think it's 11 games in 33 days.
Right. That's not what we want.
That's absolute madness. Yeah. Yeah, there was a piece I was reading, I think it was in the Times, saying that a lot of clubs are now going to, they were revising their training schedule in order to not burn the players out, because there's so many games, and they're having to think about load management in a way that perhaps wasn't the case, definitely wasn't the case 10 years ago, and maybe not even 3 years ago. Given these expanded European competitions, some clubs, not United, I don't know whether it's unfortunate or not, will end up in the Club World Cup next summer. So players will be playing 365 days a year. There's no breaks at all at the top clubs. It's absolute madness, and any club in European football's got a lot of games, and United's schedule looks absolutely bonkers, honestly, but it is the same for everybody. So important competition, but Amorim will be thinking about, how do I not burn my players out? How do we compete in the League Cup, the Europa League? The FA Cup starts in January too. And trying to move up the league, because it's still really tight. We're only 6 points behind City, I think.
Yeah, there's too much games. Part of me is like, just, get knocked out of the Carabao and FA and just focus on the Prem and, Europa. But then again, I do want to be fighting for trophies. Last season FA Cup was ours, and the season before Carabao Cup was ours. So, I want to still be fighting, but also it's kind of what's actually best for the team. And we do have a couple injuries. Maybe it's just best if we do get knocked out and we can just, focus on the Prem. Do you want to stay in it?
No, of course. I don't even think you kind of think strategically like that.
Yeah,
and if we have fewer games, we're going to definitely do well in the Premier League.
Yeah, that's
might
true.
not. I do remember in 2016-17 when Mourinho basically gave up on the league in order to concentrate on the Europa, and he worked out for it, right? There's a path through it, playing against a very young Ajax side that went on to great things, but they were 2 years away from being at their peak, and he was able to make that decision. I don't know that you could look at this Europa League and go, United are definitely going to win it. There's definitely, United should be one of the favourites, but a lot of games to play before then. So you go for as much as you can, you try and win as much as you can, and if the club falls short at the end, so be it. But there's an opportunity here. Spurs are definitely beatable. We've seen that.
Yeah.
Angie's under a lot of pressure. He may well be thinking, hey, I need better performances in the league. Maybe this is the time to rotate. But not that they got the resources exactly, but maybe he does.
No, Spurs as well were just such an interesting team. A little bit like us, kind of, win one match and look incredible, and then they'll lose the next match and then be off for a month or something, and then come back, and that you just can't predict Spurs. Oh, well, I find it hard to predict Spurs. Kind of the same with Man United. Like, I just think you can't predict them. And, they'll be attacking, but we can. I do think we can beat them. We've definitely got the players. I think we've got to sort of match them. Make sure our defense is we've got to be good. We've got to defend well. And that's why I think. Well, yeah, exactly. We have. So carry on that, and yeah, I think attack. We've got to match them. We got to score, because I think this game could either be a 0-0 or it's going to be 3-2. It's going to be either goals or no goals. I just think there's going to be a couple.
Yeah, it's an interesting stylistic fit, because when Ten Hag was the manager and we were playing this kind of suicide chaos ball all the time, it might look a bit similar to Spurs in a way. But now it's all about control, and it's taken Amorim, 6 games for United to be having. There was the lowest amount of possession we've had under Amorim against City, and it was 48.5%, which is the highest amount of possession we've had against City for some time. So we're moving to a highly controlled, possession-oriented team, very different style. And it hasn't taken Amorim that long to implement a very, very clear identity. It's weird, because it took Ten Hag 2.5 years and he never got to that. So the clarity of thought and thinking and approach and identity is there already with Amorim. Obviously, the pieces aren't quite fitting together all the time yet. So I think we'll have a lot of control against Spurs, and there's a real opportunity to pick them off with this high line. It wouldn't surprise me if Garnacho starts, just because the pace and the carrying ability in space, big space, would seem to suit a game of this nature, where there may well be big spaces behind the Spurs' defence. Wouldn't surprise me for him to start. He's also probably needs the minutes. Great opportunity for United. Feel like the clash of styles will make it a really interesting game. We have to have a winner. Exciting stuff as a result. I hope it's us. Yeah, of course. It's us. of course. And I would like to focus, of course. I mean, it's Manchester United, so it's never true, but I'd like the focus to be on the football. Unfortunately, there's always some drama because the world's focus is on us. And of course, Ruben is getting used to that now. I think, unfortunately, I'm sure he'd like to just be talking about football, but the question before the game, first question after the game in his press conference will be, you won or lost. How does dropping Marcus Rashford fit into this? That'll be the first question, of course.
Oh, 100%. But you know what? I think it's great to see the manager. It's, we're seeing his clear intention that it is about the football. It's not about the players. You don't want individuals in a team. It's not about an individual. It's about the performance on the pitch tomorrow night. So like you said, look, there'll be questions about Rashford, but we need to focus on the football.
If only it was just that. I do like Ruben's emotional intelligence, though. He handled the pre-match questions about Rashford expertly. Now, he hasn't brought him back into the squad. I don't think we'll have a situation where he's frozen out completely. I do think it's quite difficult to organise a transfer in January, given that most clubs will be right at the limit of their PSR and it won't reset until the 1st of July. If they really, really, really want rid, the club has decided, then a loan is most likely. I also find that a little bit hard, though, because then you can't use the money and you're making yourself weaker as a squad. I would be surprised if Marcus is a difficult character inside and is making the dressing room difficult. But, hey, that's inside the four walls of the dressing room. And Amorim is a very clear communicator. He gives us a lot of confidence, gives me a lot of confidence that he has a clear picture in his mind about what he wants to achieve here. And if that is with Marcus, great. If it's not, we all move on. United's lost great players in the past and we move on, right? So, and we just want the focus to be on the football and the focus to be on United winning. Right.
Yeah. And I think winning against City at the Etihad, that's, got the fans behind him.
It was pretty bloody good. We'd like to win against Spurs. Right. I like Big Ange, but it may well be the end of him if we do. But we'll see.
We'll see.
Thanks a lot, Isabel.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening or watching wherever you are. We'll be back again soon. Bye now.